Zoom recording was kind of giving me fits, so I'm just going to make a little review of what we spoke about yesterday. And we began discussing some stats. This is a table from Every Shot Counts. I keep referring to this book with all the data that has been compiled. And this table breaks down stats from golfers that shoot in the 90s, and it compares it to pro golfers. Now, we realize that during this clinic, the goal isn't to turn you into a professional golfer. However, certain metrics can be compared. For instance, in the categories of the greens that we're hitting from 100 to 150 yards, right? Greens from 60 to 100 yards, because everybody in here can hit the ball 150 yards. Just take a look at the scoring breakdown between par threes, par fours, and par fives as it relates to the pro golfer. You can kind of get a sense for where the pro golfers are saving strokes. As you can see, the pro golfers average slightly over par on the par threes and par fours, and they really earn their income on the par fives. Typically, the player that wins on a given week on the PGA Tour or even the LPGA Tour, you'll see they have the lowest score on the par fives. Now, what I want everyone to do, everyone's been keeping track of their score killers, hopefully, which I'll remind you are your penalty shots you're taking from the tee, right? Anytime you're chipping twice, and any three putts from inside of 40 feet. But now I want everyone to pay attention to this greens hit stat from 100 to 150 yards. We see that the 90s golfer, on average, from 100 to 150 yards, hits the green less than 50% of the time, where the pro golfer hits the green 80% of the time. And from 60 to 100 yards, we see a little bit better from the 90 golfer, a little bit better from a little bit better for the tour golfer. Um, by paying attention to these stats, we can hopefully get a little bit bigger of a jump, because the more greens we hit from these different yardages, obviously the less we're going to have to chip and the lower our scores are going to be, right? So when you're playing golf and you're inside of 150 yards, just kind of pay attention to whether or not you're hitting the green. And if you're missing the green, look for patterns of misses. Are you missing left? Are you missing right? Are you consistently hitting it short, right? Is club selection a part of it? And we can really use your data along with this data to track your improvement. I'll refer to this putting chart again. Let's just pick out a number this week. 8 feet, the Tour Pro is making 50%. The 90 golfer makes 27%. Huge difference there. So maybe a drill this week would be to practice 8-footers. See if you can get it to 40%. All right, a large part of this week's class was chipping the ball versus pitching the ball, just from a definition standpoint, and also when to use each shot. And here we're on the 11th hole, and these pictures were taken about 8 feet apart, right? Meaning this picture was taken 8 feet farther to the left. What I'm going to do now is draw the direction of the slope on the green. So this green, which is hole number 11, has pretty moderate slope from back to front, right? In the middle portion of the green, and we all know that in the front of the green it gets severe. Right. Now in this situation on the left, if our golf ball, let's say, is right here, we need to get this ball up in the air, right? And so the definition of a pitch shot is a shot that flies more than it rolls, right? So in order to get this golf ball close to the hole, we have to aim it left of the hole because the slope will take it to the right. We need elevation to clear the bunker, clear the rough, and land softly enough on the green so it won't hit and go off the back. So by definition, we're going to use a pitch shot here, whereas on the right, there's no obstacle in front of us besides the fairway. Right? The ball's going to roll nicely through the fairway. Green slope is the same, however, this ball will not move as much left to right. And in this situation, we can chip or pitch the ball. Chipping the ball will be a safer play because it would allow us to land the ball closer to us, right? So here's our golf ball. I could chip the ball with a pitching wedge, which would maybe land here and roll all the way up to the green. Or I could take a sand wedge and pitch the ball where I'd have to land it about halfway on, and then it would roll to the right just slightly and hopefully stop close to the flagstick. So, with all things being equal, the only time I hit the ball high is when I have to, when I'm forced to, either by a bunker or by rough, or sometimes when there's a severe slope on the green to where I need the ball to stop quickly. Now, another question I get asked a lot is, should I putt from here? And my answer is, if you feel more confident in putting, our worst shot with our putter will always be better than our worst shot with any other club. So I always recommend putting when we can. Now let's dive a little bit into the technique differences between chipping and pitching. We say that when we're chipping the ball and when we're pitching the ball, our arms and our club form the letter Y. The difference between the chip and the pitch as it relates to club selection, here I'm using my pitching wedge, here I'm using my sand wedge. That alone will create a higher shot on the right because of the more lofted club. The only technical difference here is on the backswing, I'm going to keep that letter Y, whereas on the backswing, when I pitch the ball, I'm going to create much more of an angle through my lead arm and the club by hinging my wrist. The more angle I create in my wrist, the more lofted the shot will get, provided I follow through. Impact will be the same on both of those, and as you see, my hands are just slightly forward of the club head. I am trying to hit the ground. And as you notice, there's going to be a difference in my follow through. I have allowed the club to rehinge on the pitch shot, where it has stayed nice and low on the chip shot. There's a little more pivot, a little more turn on the pitch shot to generate the height, but both times I'm getting to my left side. Here is another example where I'll need to pitch the ball. If I chip it, it will land at too flat of an angle to stay on the green. So I need the elevation for the ball to land softly and not roll off the other side. Thank you for watching my recap of yesterday's clinic. And as I discussed with the class, hopefully next week we'll have clearance to do next week's session and the following session outdoors with everybody involved. Thank you for your patience, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you have any questions. And sorry, had a little technical difficulty with the Zoom recording from yesterday.